So I've already spent quite a bit of time talking about the 4 new phones that Google just announced at the Made by Google event, the Pixel 9 series of phones, and I think that that makes sense. Those are the most exciting things, announced at the event, but they're not the only things that were announced at that event. We also have the Pixel Watch 3, which now comes in 2 sizes, and the Pixelbuds Pro 2. So in this video, we're going to kind of go over those 2 devices as well. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on them from the outside looking in. Obviously, I've not got to test them yet, but just sort of my general impressions of those 2 accessories. So we'll start off here with the Pixel Watch 3, and it does look very, very similar to the Pixel Watch 2, which looked very, very similar to the Pixel Watch 1. Now, personally, I like the way that these watches look. I think that they are distinct and they are unique. A lot of people do not like the way that they look, and that is something I'm not going to argue with you about. Either you like it or you don't. You do have a few different color options here. I don't remember this rose quartz. We'll just call it pink. I don't remember that as being an option before. Maybe it was there and I just never paid any attention to it. Like I said, though, we do have a 41 millimeter option and a 45 millimeter option. Now, just looking at these 2 pictures, can't really tell too much of a difference because there's nothing there to show you a whole heck of a lot of scale. Well, actually, that does help out a little bit. You can tell that is quite a bit larger. The bezels are also a bit smaller. Now, it's hard to see where the bezels are on a Pixel Watch just because of the domed glass shape, the way that the glass curves around the edge. But the bezels are, somewhere in this region, and they have shrunk them down just a little bit. I will tell you that unless you're using something on your watch that has a very a white screen or a light background, you can't really tell anyways. But it is good that they did improve this at least a little bit. We'll look at the technical specifications here, and I'm going to point out a handful of things that I think are actually really big. So whether it's the 41 millimeter or the 45 millimeter, both of them are now going to hit 2,000 nits of peak brightness. That's up from 1,000 nits on the Pixel Watch 2. That is a big difference. If you're outside in very bright light, you're going to be able to see that watch a lot easier. And it also, if I'm not mistaken, it's 2,000 nits down to, yes, a minimum of 1 nit of peak brightness for the always-on display. So that should help, prevent this from being just a big battery drain. We also have a more responsive screen between 1 and 60 hertz. You may not know this, but the current watches have 30 hertz refresh rate screens. So the screen is refreshing 30 times a second. You're now going to go from 1 to 60. So it should look much smoother without sacrificing a lot of battery life. Now, these 2 devices are 2 different sizes, so they have 2 different size batteries. The 41 millimeter is basically the same as last year, and I'll just tell you, my Pixel Watch 2 gets me through 24 hours quite easily. In fact, I could probably push it into a full 48 hours if I turned on the battery saver sometime around the 30 or 40% mark. Typically, a full day, I wake up the next morning with, after I've slept with it on, so a full 24 hours, normally have between 30 and 40% battery. So expect something similar here because a lot of the other hardware is the same. For the larger variant, we have a 420 milliamp hour battery. So that is a decent little spec bump to see. The charging speeds here, 24 minutes gets you half, 60 minutes gets you full, whereas the bigger one, it's a little bit slower because it's a bigger battery. They say that the charging is 20% faster than last year. They definitely need to increase this charging speed when companies like Mobvoi are charging way faster. It's a good to see an improvement here, but not as big of an improvement as I would want to see them have. Like I mentioned, a lot of the internals are the same. This is the same processor and coprocessor as we had last year. We are launching with Wear OS 5 though, and that is pretty cool, but that does mean a lot of these new features are probably going to come back to the Pixel Watch 2. Will it come to the 1? I don't know. It's an older processor there, but the Pixel Watch 2 probably going to see a lot of the stuff, the same storage, the same RAM. So again, these internals are not really changing a whole lot. I don't think any of this stuff has really changed at all either. So we'll jump back to the overview, and we'll look at some of these new features that they have mentioned here. So without digging super deep, let's quickly go over some of these new features. So we have some additional stuff being added in terms of, fitness tracking, running, and things like that. So we now have custom routines. You can put in different little parameters for basically like your own little custom workout. Rather than just using the stock default workout settings, you can make your own. Not only will you get real-time guidance on that, you've also got things like analysis of your step cadence. So you can actually track that stuff. Maybe you can tell that you were more tired because your cadence had shortened. Again, this is not something that like I'm going to be super into necessarily, but if you're a runner, this stuff might prove invaluable. I definitely dig the AI call screening stuff. So you get a phone call and right there from your watch, you can ask them to hold. You can, I think there was a thing in there too, where you hit a button and it basically just tells them like, hold on, let me get to a place where I can actually take the call. I think that is really, really smart. Speaking of smart, how about the smart recorder? Record music, thoughts, and more. AI transforms audio to text. So you've got the Pixel recorder right there on your wrist. You've got the ability to control your Google TV. Again, right there on your wrist. How about the ability to see your Nest camera feed right there from your wrist? They've definitely added a lot of just sort of nice quality of life features. How many of these will come back to the older watches? That remains to be seen. I do expect, though, a decent amount of this probably will arrive on your Pixel Watch 2. So all that being said, the standard model is $349. The larger model is $399. These are pretty darn expensive watches. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of good stuff there. However, as someone who already has the Pixel Watch 2, would I be spending the $350 to upgrade? No, absolutely not. There's just not enough there to encourage me to do that. I do feel like a lot of these features are going to arrive on my Pixel Watch 2 anyways. Same processor, same RAM, same storage, same size. I have a smaller wrist, so for me, the smaller Pixel Watch I think looks appropriate. The bigger one would probably look a little bit silly for me, so I don't have any real reason to upgrade here. I will say that if you've been waiting to get a Pixel Watch because it's too small and you want to jump in now that they have a larger model, I think that that might make some sense at that point for you, but that's something you're definitely going to have to decide for yourself. I think the Pixel Watch 2 is a very good watch. I will admit, it's hard to justify spending $400 on any watch on planet Earth for me, because that is a lot of money, and there are cheaper watches on the market that are very, very good. So it looks solid, but it's not something that I'm absolutely blown away by. Now, something that I am maybe more excited about, maybe sounds crazy to you, but it's the Pixelbuds Pro 2, and it's for one thing. There's one reason, and it's this right here. It's this little wingtip on the back of the earbuds that you will twist them and it will lock them in place to some degree. I really like the Pixelbuds Pros. I've used them a lot, but they do not like to stay in my ears. They have finally addressed my biggest concern with them, as you can see there, and I am very, very excited to see that. It doesn't take much, and I think that that will be enough to help lock them in place. So I am very excited. You got porcelain, you got hazel, which kind of looks like a dark gray, almost black. You've got wintergreen, and you have, is that peony? I don't know exactly how you pronounce that. We'll just say pink. So there's not like a ton to go over here, right? They're earbuds. I'm sure they're going to sound very good. The originals sounded very good, but these are supposed to be better, right? So there's the new Tensor A1 chip, which is supposed to help the noise canceling cancel twice as much noise. I don't know how you quantify such a thing, but ANC should be improved. You can talk to Gemini for hands-free help. Now, let me check this number 2 here because I'm curious. Gemini mobile app available on select devices. Just making sure that this doesn't require like the Gemini Advanced. It doesn't seem to say that that's the case, so maybe that's good. But you can talk to Gemini right there in your ears. You have up to 30 hours with ANC turned on. That's not too bad either. But of course, that fit is going to be the biggest thing for me. They could have literally just released the exact same Pixelbuds Pros with this little wingtip, and I probably would have been all over them. For these Pixelbuds Pro 2, you're going to be looking at $229. Hey, again, these are the Pro earbuds, and they are not cheap. I will say, though, once again, just to kind of put a lid on that, I really like the Pixelbuds Pro Original, okay? They have been my earbuds off and on quite a bit, and it appears to me like they have fixed the biggest issue, the thing that when I take them out and put them in the case and put them away, the reason why I have done that. It looks like they have fixed it, so these might be sort of like a sleeper pick for me for like my favorite thing that was announced at the show. All in all, I think that they both look solid, if not maybe a little bit overpriced. I would love to still live in a time and era when Google was more aggressively pricing their products. They seem both a little bit on the steep side to me. I'd love to know what you guys think about both of them in the comments down below. I will put a series of links in the description, some of which will be affiliate links, which means if you click the link and you make a purchase, I will earn commission off of that. I do hope to review one or both of these. I would say certainly going to review the Pixelbuds down the line because I should be able to get them with store credit. The Pixel Watch, I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen there, if I'm going to be provided one of those to review for you guys or not. We'll have to wait and see how all that pans out. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content just like this. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.